The supplement industry isn't allowed to make products that work. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. If you guys would please remember to click like though on my video, I'd greatly appreciate it. Please remember to follow me or subscribe if you aren't already, and please comment and leave your opinion or just a hello down below in the comments. All right, over to this topic. Again, I've dealt with this a long time. For people who remember, over a decade ago, I literally got sued for calling out research on scam supplements, one of the biggest ones of all time, branched chain amino acids, and then was later vindicated by meta-analysis that said, hey, this stuff doesn't work, it doesn't do anything, it's complete and utter garbage. But companies were making millions of dollars on it. I had a lawsuit drop at claims of $500,000 in damages, a gag order and everything to shut me up about it. The reality is I was right. So I have a long history of fighting against this nonsense. A very, very long history of fighting against it. And I'm not saying there aren't a tiny number of supplements that don't have some benefits, protein powders, maybe extra strength fish oil in specific situations, creatine. But for the most part, supplements do not work. They do not work. Most of the health supplements do not work. Anything that helps with muscle, fat loss, boosting testosterone, all these things, these are all complete and utter nonsense. And here's what I mean. What people don't understand, go back and look at the Supplement Control Act of 1994 in the United States. It basically gave the supplement industry a free pass, but with some restrictions put in place for basically false advertising, in the sense of it gave them guidelines on how not to get into trouble, of how to word their stuff. Like they have to say, can't say a product does something, they can only imply it. Suggest it, when combined with a proper diet and exercise, or these claims haven't been evaluated by the FDA. Okay, and essentially what they did, they created a situation to where supplements do not have to do safety testing, right? In other words, there's less restrictions on supplements you buy than on the meat and vegetables you buy in the grocery store. They go through higher stringent standards than your supplements do for safety. For testing, there is no safety testing required for supplements, and there's no testing required to show that they work. And as far as the safety goes, the rules in place are they can't knowingly sell you something that they know is bad for you. In other words, if there's data showing something is problematic, it's illegal for them to sell it to you. And what they will also do, if something turns out to be a really dangerous supplement, they will sometimes open an investigation to see if the people knew on the inside and hid it or not. And if they don't find wrongdoings, that, hey, they just innocently sold you poison and didn't know that it was poison, then they're generally in the clear. Like if there was no studies on the stuff they made, they didn't know it was dangerous, they had no evidence to suspect it was dangerous, they're totally in the clear. Okay, unlike drugs that have to be safety tested, they have to know how toxic it is. They have to know the risks before it's sold for, say, through the FDA. Now, that being said, by that same token, they also put restrictions in place that they can't really make things that work. In other words, if they replicate any sort of drug-like effect, they cannot be sold over the counter. And I'll give you guys an example. I won't even go into the muscle building or fat burning. That is definitely something. If they help you build muscle or burn fat beyond their food value, that is automatic ban city felony. You go to prison if you sell it without a prescription to the public. Okay? Automatic. But let's talk about other ones. Perfect example. There have been certain types of brand yeast and stuff that have been found to lower lipids. Okay? And the problem is that some people think the ones that they get in the U.S., the versions do it, but the reality is the type that's been found to have statin-like properties, which means it lowers cholesterol, is illegal to import into the U.S. And it's illegal to sell as food. Why? Because it produces a drug-like effect. Now, the argument there is, by the way, and people say, that's terrible, they should allow that, but here's the argument as to why not. Because if they give you Lipitor for a statin-like effect, they can control the dose with a clinical exact amount. The problem is with some of these extracts, they're not standardized, and so you don't know how much you're getting. So you're getting a drug-like effect in an unregulated dose that may be inconsistent, and therefore it might improve your health 1 month, and then the batch you get the next time could not work correctly when you really should just be on a statin. So keep that in mind. If that substance produces that effect, if same effect as a statin, that means you probably need to be on a statin. You probably need to be on the prescription drug at that point. So this specific plant extract is only mimicking what you need from a medicine, but it doesn't do it consistently. It's not that it doesn't work, it's that when you're getting it in that format, the plant form or the extract form, you don't have an exact identical dose. So you have no way to control the amount of the drug that you're getting in your body. Whereas with the prescription one, you know the exact amount you're taking every single day, and it can be compared to your blood work for the improvement. So that is part of the argument, and that does make sense. But generally speaking, other things are a major concern because they interfere with sales. Fat burning, anything that helps you burn fat, a fat burner over the counter will be straight up banned. This happened with ephedra years ago when it was outperforming the prescription fat loss drugs. The pharmaceutical industry went nuts, or like, we're not having this. They got it pulled off the shelf. And a study confirmed it within 6 months. The federal government and Congress and everyone met, and they actually literally made it illegal to sell it over the counter. It's outperforming the prescription drug. This cuts into big pharma's profits. Also with an untested, unregulated product. Okay, same thing with building muscle. If it helps you build muscle beyond something minor like creatine, which is so ridiculously small, you can barely measure it over a year, but it is existent. It falls into the category of the same thing as steroids and other anabolic drugs and PEDs. They're going to regulate it. It's not going to be allowed to be sold over the counter. This has happened numerous times. So this is perfect examples of things that are not going to be allowed to be sold. So things that help you build muscle, things that help you burn fat, things that improve your cholesterol, stuff like that. Stuff that lowers your blood pressure beyond just eating healthy foods. It will be outlawed. It will be banned. Therefore, the supplement industry, knowing this, has incentives to not make things that work. Because if they put in the money to develop and find something that really works, they're going to lose money on the development. They're going to make a short-term profit. The government is going to crack down on it. They may not make a profit. If they make something that doesn't really work or has a minor effect but not really provable, they can sell that for 20 years. They're going to make a lot more money. They're going to have a lot less legal issues. And since they're allowed to sell garbage that doesn't work, they can get away with the minor levels of false advertising. They have a financial incentive to do so. So therefore, the companies with bad ethics are literally propped up by the law. So in other words, the laws are written in such a way that a truly ethical supplement company that wants to make products that work can't compete. They will go out of business. Therefore, the nature of the not free market with it has created a situation to where only unethical scam companies rise to the top and beat out the competitors. This is, again, a law in place that artificially changes the nature of the market there. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're buying these products. Number one, they probably almost certainly do not work. If they do, they will be outlawed. You won't be able to use it forever. Number three, they're not safety tested. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.